Peace to the family. Peace to the family. Um, right now we got the Umar Johnson. Now it's 2024. Uh, Reality Speaks. We sponsored a lot of people in our 29 years. Be 29 years this year. Umar Johnson was one of the ones. We got probably maybe about 8 different lectures with Dr. Umar Johnson, especially in the early times. When we was doing Umar Johnson, we probably had like 50, 60, 70 people. Most we had was like 100 people. We was in the early days of Dr. Umar Johnson. So, that's what it is. This right here is a classic right here. It's called, Where's My Daddy? Debunking the deadbeat dad syndrome. So, so I hope you like it. Hope you share. Look, family, we almost at 8,000 subscribers. It's small, but we want to keep building, keep taking it to the next level. All right. So please subscribe, please like, please comment. For everything that you do, it's going to take us to the next level. Reality Speaks. We coming. We got all kinds of archives. We got archives for years to come to keep our family educated with information, for inspiration, for the purpose of elevation. So let's go ahead and kick it off, fam. Come before you with the mind state of liberation, coming from a long legacy of battle stars and freedom fighters. I acknowledge my duties of truth and justice as a Soul Violence Nation representative, and I'm a humble servant of my community. Elders may have permission to speak. All right. I'd like to thank y'all for coming out here tonight. So give yourselves a big round of applause. Come out on Friday night. Even though I know after this event it's on at the club for some of y'all, you're going to be getting it in. Some of y'all already came dressed up already. So I already know what's going on with that. But we appreciate y'all coming out. As Brother L.A. say, at every Soul Violence function, we say how the Africans feel. That's just something we've been doing for 17 years now. We do have our 17-year anniversary coming up within the next 3 weeks. So we hope that y'all can come out and celebrate with us. But we've been doing this stuff for 17 years, out in those streets, walking the streets. Businesses, children programs, you name it, we've been doing those things. So we definitely appreciate that. So when we say how the Africans feel, it ain't for you to be all tired. Some people just got off from work at the boss and getting on your nerves all day long. So we say how the Africans feel. Just say it as loud as you can, just releasing all the negative energy that you possibly can. Just one more time for me, one more good time. How the Africans feel?
Spirit is strong, definitely strong.
All right, before we get started, what we want to do, we want to bring up a brother that's been doing some positive work in our community. And this thing is just to show what Black fathers have been doing in their community. Because there's so many brothers that are raising their children, that are there for their children, that we know in the community, but there's these people that paint this image of Black men in the community, and we're going to really deal with that tonight. If you heard, brother, how many people heard Brother Umar, Brother Darren Muhammad show today? Powerful, 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 powerful. So what we're going to do, before we bring Brother Umar up, we want the brother to come up. What is it? It's Black Children Rock, Black Fathers Rock. Give it up for the brother. He's going to tell you a little bit about Black Fathers Rock. Brother Matt.
Hotel family. Peace and blessings. Again, my name is Matt Presbury, father of 4 children. And
I take this brother. This brother's been going all over the world, lighting the world on fire, all over Facebook, all over YouTube. And we really appreciate what this brother's been doing. He got a book coming out soon. We want to really support this brother. So let's give him a big round of applause. I want to hold up brother.
Good evening. How's everyone? All right, glad to be back in Baltimore, glad to be back in Maryland. These are where my family roots are on both sides of the tree, my maternal and my paternal. Of course, you all know my paternal relates me to Frederick Douglass the Great, my great-great-great-great-grand uncle. Actually, yesterday, I believe it was November the 14th. Today's the 15th, right? No, today's the 16th. So day before yesterday, November the 14th, my great-great-great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, turned 151 years old. Of course, he's an ancestor, obviously. Okay, no one's living at 151. Okay, but we celebrated his birthday George Washington Bailey was the first black public school teacher in Talbot County, Maryland. This is the first nephew of Frederick Douglass and my great-great-great-grandfather. He was also a Civil War veteran. He fought 7 battles with the 7th Regiment U.S. Colored Troops, Maryland Volunteers. Also a minister. 45 years he ran the Sunday school and was an assistant minister at the Bethel Union AME Church in Talbot, which still stands feet away from where my ancestors were enslaved. And he's buried in the church cemetery there, along with his father, my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Stephen, who was Frederick's brother and co-founder of the Bethel Union AME Church. So whenever I come to Maryland, there's always, much love, always much love. Who knows? Maybe when I build my school for our boys, it'll be built here. We'll have to see about that. 2 presentations I'm going to hit y'all with tonight for the 90 minutes that I have you. Then we're going to take our break, come back, do some Q&A, give you guys an opportunity to get some food. Brought a couple of my DVDs with me, some business cards as well. But before I get into the issue with the fathers, I want to do a quick infomercial on educational law, because school is back in and we're about a quarter of the way through the year. And I can always tell when school is back in because my voicemail stays full. Parents call me from around the country with questions. What to do about this? What to do about that? So I want to give you a quick crash course on special education and regular education law to help you fight for the young people in your life. Notice I didn't just say children. Many of us are very selfish and only being concerned about our children. It pains me when I have seminars for parents and the only people come are those who have biological children who are still school age. If you are African, for those of us who consider ourselves to be so, we embrace the village culture where all children are our children. So if there's a meeting for parents, whether you have children or not, you should be there because in our culture, everyone is a parent. Are y'all following me? Okay, so we have to get rid of that selfishness that so many of us have. As long as my children are okay, I'm not interested about anyone else's child. Until someone else's child gets your daughter pregnant, now you're all interested in the young man. But had you spent some time with him 5-6 years ago, he may have never impregnated your teenage daughter. So let's talk about educational law. Number 1, what should you do if the school wants to evaluate your child? First thing you should do is ask them to put their request in writing. Always deal with the school with the ink pen. If you're dealing verbally, you're setting yourself up to lose. Because as someone who deals with school principals, teachers, and attorneys on an everyday basis, I can tell you they suffer from what I call academic amnesia. What is academic amnesia? That's when they selectively forget what they told you because it may incriminate or hold them liable. Are you following me? So when you ask yourself, I could have sworn I told the teacher this or that, you did. But now she's suffering from selective amnesia. They will lie in a heartbeat. The school is not your friend. And you have to stop making friends of teachers before you know whether they care about your child or not. Let me say that again. You have to stop making friends of teachers before you know whether or not they care about your child. We have a bad habit, black people, of grinning up in the faces of white folk and other black people, assuming that because you're a public school teacher, you're here because you care. At least 30% of the teachers in your child's school are not there because they care. They're there because they need to pay their bills. And a lot of your teachers, your children's teachers, are not even certified. Do you even know? You need to ask them that. You can't assume that because they got on a suit and a tie or a dress uniform if they're female, that they're certified. A lot of white people are pimping public education to keep their bills paid during this economic crisis. And it is your job as a parent to know whether or not the person in front of your child teaching them is a certified teacher or not. That's very important, especially when they start talking special education. Because your first question to them is, how do you have the audacity to ask me to give you permission to misdiagnose my son when you know the person responsible for teaching my son ain't even trained to teach? Are y'all following me? So we got to wake up. So if they want you to test your child, can I have your request in writing with a detailed explanation as to why you want to test them. First thing you do, get it in writing. And then once you get it in writing, we're going to respond back with a letter asking, what, if anything, have you done to try to help my child academically or behaviorally prior to considering special education? Because you know that special education is supposed to be the last stop, not the first. But in inner city Black districts, it's the first stop. And why? Because they get paid for putting your kids in special education. It is a racket. It is a hustle. It is a pimp game. Every time I classify one of your babies as retarded, autistic, learning disabled, emotionally disturbed, speech language impairment, deaf, blind, traumatic brain injury, orthopedic impairment, developmental delay, or multiple disabilities, the school district gets an electronic transfer of funds that comes from the state. And the other funds come from Obama, U.S. Department of Education, and that money comes right into the school's bank account. A special ed child, on average, is worth twice as much as a regular one. So let's say in Baltimore, the average child gets $6,500 a year spent on their education. $6,500, hypothetically. Once I say he got a learning disability, he ain't worth 65 no more. He worth 13 grand. And they get that 13 grand every year that you leave him in there. So the blacker the school district, the more likely they are to end up in special education. Number two, what should I do if I think my child requires mentally giftedness? Listen to me well. At least 30% of the Black boys diagnosed with so-called ADHD, taking anti-stimulant medication, the Ritalin babies, Adderall, Tetracycline, Depakote, Prozac, Risperdal, Zoloft, 30% of them are mentally gifted. That's why they can't sit still, because the work ain't challenging enough. Are y'all with me? So before you let somebody tell you that your son needs medication for a conduct disorder, your first question, if your son got the grades, because if he ain't got the grades, it ain't no need asking. Is it possible that the work is too easy for my boy? A Black boy in America is 4 times as likely as a white one to be diagnosed as retarded and 4 times less likely to be diagnosed as gifted. They are not interested in Black gifted boys. So if you think your boy is gifted, you have to bring that to the attention of the principal. Don't wait for them, because that day will never come. Furthermore, they took mentally gifted out of the special ed law. Do you know what that means? That means when I diagnose children as mentally gifted, they don't get paid for it no more, so they could care less. It's time to wake up, Black community. Number 3, what should I do if I think my underage child is ready for kindergarten, but is not yet of age? Anybody got a piece of tissue or extra piece of paper? I got to get rid of this gum. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, you got a child. 3, 4, 5 years old. When does special ed begin? 3. Remember, special ed is federal. So everything I'm telling you tonight is relevant whether you live in California, North Dakota, or the U.S. Virgin Islands, because you know they got special ed in the Caribbean now too. Yes. If your child is at least 3, they have a right to special ed support. Now, we don't want our children in special ed unnecessarily. But some of our toddlers do have delays that have to be dealt with. If you see some autism, if you see some speech impairment, if you see some intellectual delay in a 3, 4, 5-year-old, go ahead, contact the school district and tell them that you're interested in an early intervention evaluation. Yes, they will get an IEP, special ed, but if they get the appropriate help in preschool, they might not need full-blown special ed when they get to grade school. Are y'all following me? So we have to stop being in denial. You got a 4-year-old child and they ain't said a word yet. There's an issue going on. You got a child and they don't socialize with other children and they barely like to talk. There's an issue there, okay? You got a kid running around killing all the pets in the neighborhood. You got a big issue there, okay? Now, question number 5. Can the school reduce my child's grades based on behavior? By a show of hands, who believes that the school can reduce the grade based on behavior? Report card grade. Couple hands went up. mostly from brothers. You know why? Because we all got a history of getting our grades reduced based on behavior. But is it legal? No, it's not. They cannot reduce a report card grade based on behavior. That is specifically why when you look at a report card, there's normally 2 grades given. One for achievement and one for what? Behavior. That's because you cannot reduce the achievement grade based on behavior. So if the teacher tells you he's getting a B instead of an A because he doesn't know how to act, that is illegal. And you need to put it in writing to the principal. Every time you have an issue, you put it in writing to the principal. The teacher is powerless from a legal standpoint. Education in the school is supervised by the principal. They are the local education agency, the individual designated by your local school board here in Baltimore to supervise instruction in that building. Some of us spend too much time arguing with teachers. I want you to stop. The teacher don't make the decision. The principal does. And whenever a letter goes to the principal, you carbon copy who? The superintendent of Baltimore schools. And you carbon copy the chair of Baltimore City local public school district. Copy them both. Why? Because if you ever need to file suit against the district, you can say you were aware of this because I sent you a certified letter. Don't drop it off. Certify it so you get a return receipt that says somebody in that office signed for it. They cannot reduce your child's grades based on behavior. Can a principal or teacher expel a child from school? Hell to the no. The only entity that can expel a child is the local school board. So if I'm the principal and I want your son out of my school, which will never happen to me, okay, I recommend to the local school board downtown. Actually, I think y'all's on North Avenue because I passed it coming in, correct? Notice how the local school administration building is in better condition than all the schools. So where the white people work is okay to inhabit, but where your children learn is not. And we don't say anything about it. You will never catch a predominantly white, Asian, Arab, Jewish neighborhood where the children are living in learning in dilapidated schools while administrators have a state-of-the-art building. You'll never find that. See, we have to get organized. Y'all need an independent Baltimore Black Parents Association. 4 committees. The first one is special ed, to investigate who is referring our boys for special ed so young and for such frivolous reasons. Which schools are most guilty? Which teachers are most guilty? Which sections of the city are most guilty? So that's the special ed committee. Then you need school discipline. Who's suspending all of our kids every day, all day? As soon as they get reinstated, they back home with another 5 days. Do you know why the principal does that? Because you can only suspend a child in the United States of America for a maximum of 10 days per time. Make sure you remember this. A maximum of 10. If I suspend them for 11 days, that is an expulsion. I can't do it. All I can do is what? Refer to the local school board, because only they can expel. And that's when you and your child are invited downtown in front of the local school board and they present the complaint, and then you fight for your child and they will decide whether or not the child gets a temporary expulsion, which is any suspension more than 10 days, or permanent expulsion, which means see you later. We never want to see you in the district ever again. But the reason the principal keep on suspending them for 5, because he can't go past 10 because that's an expulsion. But you can make the argument that the principal is violating the law because he suspended my son for 5 days, and soon when he came back, he suspended him for another, and then soon when he came back, he suspended him for another 1 or 2. So when I add them days up, I get 5 plus 2, that's 12. That was an expulsion, which is illegal without district approval. Listen to me right now, black parents. You cannot be a lazy ass black parent and be a good one. I want to be clear right now. And you know why I'm saying that? Because some of us trifling as hell. I know, because I'm in the schools. I call you for your IEP meeting. Come up here and see what they're trying to do with your son in special ed. Oh, I got work. I got better things to do. I can't come. Report card night. We don't see you. Oh, they could just mail it to me. Get off your ass and go see about your child, because our children are being ran over by white supremacy because their parents don't give a damn in too many cases. Are y'all following me? Okay. Can a charter school expel a student? Can a charter school principal? No, listen to me. A charter school by law is an alternative public school. A charter school is a public school. So whatever the public school got to do, the charter school got to do. So if I'm a charter school principal and I want to expel your son, can I kick him out? Can I call you and say, come pick him up? No, but they do it all through Baltimore, don't they? Come get your son right now. That's an expulsion. You can't do that until I first had a hearing with the board of directors of the charter school. Public school got a what? Local school board of education. Charter schools have a what? Local board of directors. Same thing. You must have your hearing first. If your child is ever brought up for expulsion, you have a right to question the persons who charged your child. You can question the teacher. You have a right to see the evidence. Y'all claim there's a video of my child on the school bus spitting on somebody. I want to see the video. I have a right to that because this is due process and I have a right to inspect any information. Don't let them think that you don't have a right to question or see the information being used against your child. But I know a quick way where you can get the expulsion taken off the table. You know what that is? Put pressure on your state representative, wherever that Negro at who does nothing for you. Your state senator, wherever that Negro at, he does nothing for you. Why are we calling on the state rep and the state senator? Why are we not calling on the U.S. rep and the U.S. senator? Because your child does not have a constitutional right to get an education. The word education is not listed in the United States Constitution. In fact, the word democracy ain't in the Constitution either, but that's another lecture for another day. Okay? Your child has a state right, Maryland state right to get an education, not a constitutional one. So your national rep and your national senator don't really have much power when it comes to education. It is your state rep and your state senator. So all you got to do is pick up the phone and say, yes, I voted for you in the last election. Whether you did or not is irrelevant. They don't know. I voted for you in the last election. My son attends a school in your district and they're threatening expulsion. My son is a good student. This is the first time he's been in a serious problem, and I need that wiped off the list. Well, you know they're going to bring him down for an expulsion. I'm calling you so you can put it into all of that. You are a state legislator. Education is under the domain of the state government. Do something about my son, or I'm going to let every parent know in the neighborhood that you don't practice what you preach. Have a good day. He'll be calling your ass the next morning. Tell your son he can go back to school. Y'all got to start using these Negroes. They use you. You let elected officials walk through the hood like they rappers and actors and singers, like they doing you a favor for coming into the neighborhood. You put them where they are, and you got to start putting pressure on them to change things. So we talked about discipline committee. We talked about special ed committee. What's the other two? One of them is finance. Where is all the money going in Baltimore schools? Because it ain't going on your children. I think you know that, right? Who in here knows who got the contract for all the custodial services in Baltimore? Because you know that's a multi-million-dollar contract. Anybody in here can clean a bathroom, am I wrong? So why hasn't anybody in here put in a bid for the custodial contract for Baltimore City schools for the 2013-2014 school year? In fact, do we know if it's ever been awarded to a black person ever? So you mean to tell me that if I had that contract, anybody in here without a job would be able to come and work for me? How many schools in Baltimore, roughly? Baltimore public schools have got about what? Y'all more than 100? Yeah. More than 200? About, let's say, 150. You got 150 schools. How many people you think you're going to need to clean each school? At least a good 5 or 6, probably more. So who in Baltimore don't get a job once one of us gets the contract? Y'all got to start thinking, because this is your tax money and you not looking to get none of it. Did you know that the public school is supposed to allow you the opportunity to meet in that school if you need it? So you out here paying for building space because we don't own nothing. You out here paying for building space when the public school is supposed to be opening the doors to allow the community to meet there. And why? Because it's publicly funded. They're not going to tell you this. Going to the white neighborhood, them white folks don't meet nowhere else but the public school. And they wish the principal would tell them that it ain't available. You got to start making them accountable to you. What is a highly qualified teacher? This is what I want you to do. On Monday, go into the school and ask the teacher or the principal, is my son's teacher? And when I say son, I'm not excluding the girls. I want to be clear about that for the sisters. I'm talking about them both, but the war is primarily against the boys. Remember, special ed is almost an exclusively male phenomenon. ADHD is almost exclusively male phenomenon. Okay, Ritalin is almost exclusively a male phenomenon. Now the young ladies are catching up, unfortunately, but it's still predominantly male. What is a highly qualified teacher? This comes from what law? No Child Left Behind. The teacher must have a what? Degree. 4-year bachelor's degree. They must be certified to teach the subject they teaching your child. They must have passed an examination to demonstrate that they can teach. Monday, find out. You got a right to know that. Find out how many teachers in that school are not highly qualified. In fact, in some of y'all schools, y'all probably don't have a single highly qualified teacher in the whole school, and they got a nerve to be telling you all your kids need brain medication. You done lost your mind. You gonna let some white woman tell you that your child needs medication? Do you have a degree in psychology? Do you have a degree in psychiatry? You are the damn English teacher, but you want to give me mental health advice. And some of y'all taking that advice. Few more, then we want to switch gears. Now, this is very important. What is response to intervention versus the ability achievement discrepancy? I'm going to explain to you in 2 minutes, real simply, how we decide whether your child goes into special education with a learning disability. Stay with me. I test your son. First, I'm going to give him an IQ test, intelligence quotient. What do we know about the IQ test? It was designed where? In Adolf Hitler's Germany. And you wonder why the black kids don't keep up with the white children on a test designed to engineer racial extermination. That's why you got to do your history, not just King Tut 5,000 year ago history either. Okay, because I'm getting a little too fed up with all this Egyptology religion stuff. Okay, we need to build where we are. King Tut ain't waking up to come help your ass. Dig in your pocket, get some money, put it together, and let's get some buildings. I'm getting sick and tired of our answer to everything white supremacy throws at us is we were great 5,000 years ago. Now, for those of us who watch sports, the Miami Heat won the finals last year, right? Doesn't matter right now. Whoever wins the Super Bowl in January, the minute training season starts, does anybody care about last year? It's all about now. Yes, we must worship the history. We must study it. We must teach it to our children. But as Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass both said, history is only as good as it points the direction to the future. If you're trying to use it to escape from your problems, then you just made our culture a new religion. Ability, achievement, discrepancy. Now stay with me. I test my young brother. IQ test. He gets a 100 standard score. That's 50th percentile. He's average. He's average. Brain is fine by white people's standards. It's probably more than fine by our standards. So then the teacher says she thinks he got a reading disability. So I give him a reading test. And on the reading test, he gets an 80. Now, an 80, if you translated that to an academic grade, would be a what? Low B, right? B minus. Now, most of us would agree that that's not very bad. We want it to go up because it's a point away from a C, but it does not suggest he's learning disabled, does it? But guess what? According to the special ed formula of the ability achievement discrepancy, ability, IQ score, achievement, reading score, because his reading score, 100 was his IQ, reading was 80. 80 minus 100 is how many points? As a rule, anything 15 points or greater is considered a significant discrepancy. So even though he got a B minus in reading, he's going to end up in special ed with a learning disability IEP just because his reading score was 20 points below his IQ score. And that is how black children have been qualifying for special education since the government gave us the program. And when did we get federal special ed? 1975, okay? 1975, nearly a year after they legalized homosexuality. Now, if I asked you what's the most powerful book in the black community, you would say your Holy Bible. Wrong. Is this. This is the Bible of mental health. This is called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Up until April of 1974, homosexuality was in this book as a diagnosable condition. Now, I was born August of 74. I'm 38 years old. So that means homosexuality has only been normal for 37 years. Can anybody explain to me why? How can a mental illness turn into a civil right in 37 years? Now, while we at it, I might as well read the definition of ADHD. Listen to this bull. Here we go. It opened right to it. The ancestors are here. Listen to this. I'm reading you what we use to determine if that brother and that brother and that brother have ADHD. Listen to this. Fails to give close attention to detail, has difficulty sustaining attention, does not listen when spoken to, does not follow through on instructions, has difficulty organizing tasks, avoids, dislikes, or is reluctant to engage in tasks that require sustained mental effort. We're talking about babies, not adults. Has difficulty organizing in tasks, loses things necessary for tasks, is easily distracted, often forgetful, fidgets with his hands or feet, leaves the seat when he's supposed to stay seated, runs and climbs excessively, has difficulty playing quietly. We're talking about children. Blurts out answers before the questions have been completed, has difficulty waiting for his turn, is often on the go, interrupts other people when they're talking. Is there a Negro in America who don't meet criteria for ADHD? Hallelujah! Hallelujah! And your son on 20 milligrams of Ritalin for that? 5 milligrams of Concerta for that? Every mentally gifted kid I know, black, white, or purple, qualifies for that. I don't know too many human beings, black, white, or purple, rich or poor, who don't meet this diagnosis at least 3 out of the 7 days of the week. Are y'all following me? And this is what they're using to push that. How much money is Wall Street making off of drugging our babies? $50 billion a year because of this book. Now, unless the Bible going to start keeping kids out of special ed, I suggest you buy one of these so you can figure out how. And I want everybody in here to buy one of these, but not this one. This is the $100 version. I want you to get, because you know I will shop for a deal. I got 6 degrees and I still shop for a deal. Doctor or not, a black man is never rich enough to be comfortable with his income. I want you to get this one. Cut it out! Now this one is only $35. What's the difference between the two? This cuts out all the intellectual manure that's in this one, and it gives you the diagnosis straight up. This should be in your pocketbook. So when the teacher tells you my son got ADHD, you're going to roll open to it, and you're going to say, can you tell me what it is? And they're going to get all the criteria wrong because they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And you're going to say, until you know what it is, we can't have no conversation. Are y'all following me? You got to have weapons of construction to use against their weapons of mass destruction. See, special ed is a weapon of mass destruction. ADHD, a weapon of mass destruction. And now we got a new word in public education. It's called identity questioning. Do you know what that is? That's when your son or daughter ain't sure if they want to be a son or a daughter. She might want to be a son, and he might want to be a daughter. So now they tell us that we have to use the language of questioning. See, this is what you call cultural imperialism, letting white people dictate to you what's normal and abnormal, because you know what, that's what this book does. The job of this book is to decide what is normal or abnormal in American society. Now, interestingly enough, we know that what? Back in slavery, there was 2 diagnoses in the book that preceded this one. And one of them was called drapetomania. Another one was called nigritude. Drapetomania was a psychiatric illness that they diagnosed runaway slaves with, because it was an illness to believe that you had a right to be free. Let me say it again. It was an illness to believe that you had a right to be free. Are y'all following me? So what they do is take what? Normal, natural African behaviors and make them pathological. ADHD is nothing more than the demonization of the natural energy of the black boy. Not only is that true, 85% of black boys on stimulant medication don't have a father in their life. So it's not really attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The real name is ain't no damn daddy in my home disorder. See, the war on our boys took place when they started the war on our fathers. He's ADHD because his father's in jail. And because you won't let the father out, you'd rather give the son some pills instead of giving him his daddy. Are y'all following with me? So for my mothers, I know it can get tough when they calling you every day, telling you to come pick up your son. But all you got to do is make sure the school is crystal clear about one thing. I make the decisions about my children, not you. See, every public school in America has a blacklist. Do you know what the blacklist is? That's a list, small list of black parents that they know never to F with. My question to you, are you on the blacklist? Because if you ain't on the blacklist, you ain't on your job. Listen to me. If you on the blacklist, your child will hardly ever get a detention. They will hardly ever get suspended. Special ed will never even come up. Because the minute the principal see the name of the parent, oh, hell no! Leave them alone! And if you ain't on the blacklist, you ain't on your job. So let us transition. Now, that presentation is a 3-hour seminar that we can do again. But I want to get to the custody. Let's talk about this. So-called fatherlessness. Black men don't want to be in their father's lives. Who said that? Because as a therapist, I can tell you, I've seen fathers cry in front of my face. Some of the same thugs with the pants sagging cry. I want to see my son, Dr. Umar, but there's nothing I can do about it. I done been to court. I done paid lawyers thousands of dollars. But guess what? If she don't produce that baby, all I can do is file a complaint. So when I go to jails, because I do a lot of work in the prisons, a lot of men are in the jail, y'all, for no other reason than breaking under the pressure of not being able to see their child and having their heart played with like a yo-yo. Now, are there some brothers who don't do the right thing? Of course. Yes, there's some brothers who don't want to be involved with the child unless they can have the mom. That's trifling, but it exists. So we're not going to sit here and say every father wants to be with his children, because some do not, but the great bulk of them do. So let's talk about this whole issue of custody. And I want to make sure we understand the difference between fatherlessness, which is a voluntary withdrawal from your child's life, versus suffering from anti-fatherhood. And that's when the custodial parent is doing all she or he, because the custodial parent could be a father. We do get them cases too. I had a father say, Dr. Umar, I got 2 twin daughters. One day the mother dropped them off at my step, knocked on the door, I opened up the door. She said, I'm leaving. We didn't hear from her for 10 years. All of a sudden she popped up after 10 years and says she wants a relationship with her daughters. This is a father now. He has the custody. He raised them for 10 years. He's coming to me saying, as far as I'm concerned, she never got to see them another day in her life. I said, the only problem is you're not their mother. She is. And you do not have the right. As much as you hurt for what she did, and I understand it, brother, but you do not have a right to keep that mother from the lives of them children unless she's putting their life in danger. Are y'all following me? So I said, what we got to do is call the sister up. I'm going to bring you in, her in. We're going to sit down. I want you to say everything you feel, but say it with a bit of tact. And then she's going to say why she wants back in. Because we don't want her walking in for a year and then walking out again forever, because that can hurt the children worse than it helps them. Are y'all following me? So we got to make sure she's serious. But if she's serious, it's not up to you to decide whether she should be in their children's lives. Mothers, it ain't up to you either. Some of the excuses I hear in public school is absolutely ridiculous. Why isn't he spending time with his father? Because I don't like the people he hang with. What the hell that got to do with that boy? Nothing. So a lot of, at the heart of this is what? Male-female relationship issues. Let's go deeper. Post-traumatic slavery issues, where the black man wants to dominate the black woman and the black woman wants to dominate the black man. And so we end up using the only thing that we actually can control, our children, as a political and emotional football. And what is the consequences on our babies? I know, because I deal with them. First of all, the girls develop what? Hopeless romanticism. Do you know what that is? That's when she falls in love with the first man she meets. Hopeless romanticism, looking for a daddy because she never had one. Our boys, they develop hypermasculinity. That's what you see when you go outside. That's what you see when you turn on BET. The pants sagging, the thug, hat backwards, trying to prove to himself and everybody else he's a man. Hypermasculinity is an outcome of fatherlessness. Since you ain't got a father to show you how, you learn from the only adult role models you got, radio and television. And let me say this, black men, we have to stop blaming the rappers because it ain't their fault. The reason why these young men look up to 50 Cent and Jay-Z and whomever else is because we're not in their lives. That's right. Do you think he would be watching them if he could hang out with me? Do you think he would be trying to be Lil Wayne if I took some time and showed him what I do as a psychologist? If I took him on the road to my lectures? Do you really think he would be into that? No! But most black men get an education, move to the suburbs, and bring a white woman with them and never come the hell back. And I don't know what you see in her that's so damn attractive. Because I ain't seen nothing yet. Can't cook, flat as a back. At 50, the neck started hanging like a damn turkey. Buck, buck, buck. Thanksgiving is next week, damn it. So let's get into it. Team Pan-African. I started an organization on September the 21st, 2005, Kwame Nkrumah's Earth Day, when I came back from my first voyage of Africa. It was called the International Movement for the Independence and Protection of African People. We also refer to it as Team Pan-African. Every Sunday night, we host a teleconference call for brothers and a teleconference call for sisters. All you have to do is text me for the information, and I will text you back, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. Be Men, Black Male Empowerment Network. Be Queen, Black Queen Unity, Empowerment, and Equality Network. We're going to come together 6 times in 2013. The first one will be January 18th to the 20th in Riviera Beach, Florida at the Inlet Grove Community High School. We're going to come together and think and plan and build, brothers and sisters. If you're interested, follow my website, drumarjohnson.com, Twitter, Dr. Umar Johnson, Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifa Tunde. What is Ifa Tunde? That's a Yoruba name that I got when I was at the Oyo Tunji village, and it simply means that an Ifa priest has been reborn. Dr. Umar Ifa Tunde is Facebook, Johnson everywhere else. We would love to have you there. Doesn't matter what your religion is or what your political ideology is. It's all about black men and women who are serious about making a difference, because guess what? The information is wonderful. You need it, but it is not going to do the work for you. And unfortunately, in the 21st century, so many of us have gotten what? Complacent just with knowing, but not doing a damn thing. My book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, the Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Children. It was supposed to be out 11/11 last Sunday in honor of Nat Turner. Nat Turner was hung, the revolutionary slave insurrection leader general. He was hung October the 11th of 1831. So out of honor of him, because I'm born on August the 21st, the date that the revolution began, also the date of the dragon, George Jackson, when he kicked open the doors in prison and got his life taken. Also the date of the Haitian Revolution, when Boukman Toussaint, Jean-Jacques Dessalines came together to give us the first free independent country on this side of the Atlantic Ocean. So this will be out December 1st. You need to read it, okay? I'm not pushing this for money. If you read my book, you will know everything you need to know to fight to protect your children. We're going to talk about how they do the drugging, how they do the diagnosing, okay? How they do the special educating. There's a question and answer section in the book. All you got to do is roll back there. And if your particular issue is not represented in the book, all you got to do is send me an email. So there's no excuse for anybody in here's children being miseducated or psychiatrically medicated, because you got somebody you can call on. Ashe, the energy is in here. Now, let's talk about the facts. 64% of black children don't live with their fathers. There's 1 out of every 2 don't live with their fathers. Now, they might have at some point, they might later, but at some point in their life, they will not live with their fathers. That's a significant issue. But as a therapist, you have to withhold judgment until you know the reasons why. Because guess what? Some non-custodial parents are impossible to live with. Some sisters can't tolerate that father Some fathers can't tolerate that sister. And if you put two people in a house who absolutely don't want to be there, domestic violence is likely to follow. And so now you got your children in a home, but it ain't a happy one. And your daughter is watching this back and forth friction. And your son is watching this back and forth friction, which does what? Sow the seed in their mind that it's okay to be disagreeable with your mate. Or maybe you arguing with their father, you arguing with their mother may have pissed them off so much that they decide to never get married at all. Or maybe daddy mistreated mommy so much that I'm not even going to spend my life with a man. I'd rather spend it with a woman. Oh, yes, I specialize in homosexual therapy for our teenage people. Okay? Yeah, you'd be surprised the stories I get for why they became that way. I can always tell you what it was. If it's a girl, she's a lesbian, guess what? She was either sexually abused, physically abused, verbally abused. She was stripped of her father. She was raised to believe that black men were nothing. Okay? She was bullied by boys and told she was ugly her whole life. I always know what it is. Same thing with the boys. Father wasn't there. The mother psychologically castrated them. What do I mean by that, mothers? Because you know y'all tongue keep cut. Watch what you say to your son. Y'all be on the street. Oh, you ain't gonna be no good. You're gonna be just like your father. I wish I never had you. You don't ever say that to a child. Because if you keep on telling him he's nothing, sooner or later he might just decide to make you a believer. That's right. This is when they give up on trying to prove to you that they can be somebody because you never believed they could. But psychologically speaking, what do we know? Many of us beat up on our children because we don't think much of ourselves. Did y'all hear that? There's a direct relationship between child abuse and low self-esteem of the parent. That is a replica of you. And because you don't like you, how the hell are you going to like your offspring? Shit! When divorce occurs, black children are usually awarded to the mother, even the boys. Now, I can understand the girls, but we need to spend time with them. But ladies, with the war out here on black men, if a father wants to be the primary custodial parent of a son, if he's beyond the age of 5, because I can understand up until kindergarten, why in the hell y'all fighting to raise a 13-year-old in your house when you know you can do nothing with that boy? And then when he gets 17 and start talking back and he get to be 6'3" and 250, you want to call us up to come in and play the damn cops to a boy who don't even respect us because he never knew us. Think about what you're doing. Fathers, same thing. You didn't want your daughters to be in the lives of the mother. So guess what? When the daughters start getting nasty, you don't know what to do with it. So you say, come get your daughter. Well, she don't see her as mom because you disrupted that bond. We got to look at what we're doing. Children are more likely to be abused by a stepfather if their biological father is absent from their lives. Now, this is a statistic that I like to tell fathers who like to check out. They say, Brother Umar, I can't take it. I just got to leave this alone. Be careful. That's right. Because all brothers ain't brothers. And if they know that you ain't creeping around checking on your biological, some of us are selfish, will mistreat them. Mothers, it's the same thing. You say the father got custody of your daughter, you don't want to be bothered with it. Be careful, because his wife might be everything to him, but nothing to your child. And one of the things we have to stop doing is marrying and cohabitating with people who we know don't give a damn about our children. Did y'all hear me? Because a lot of us think that the children can't tell. Soon when that man walk in the house, soon when that woman walk in the house, a child know they ain't here for us. They only here for mama. And some of y'all let that happen. Fellas, you too. You let that woman come, ignore your children, and then act like everything's supposed to be all right. And then when the children move out your house for college, they never come back even for holiday visits because they hate your ass because you chose a woman over your daughter, and children don't forget easily. African-American children are more likely to have an incarcerated father, and their mothers are less likely to take them to visit their fathers. Now listen to me, mamas and dads, but because there's more black men in jail, but the sisters are catching up. Listen to me. Some of y'all got this belief that if my son goes sees his father in jail, that's going to make him a criminal. It's going to desensitize him to jail. Guess what? The evidence is actually the opposite. A child of an incarcerated father is 7 to 9 times more likely himself to end up in jail. So if you take him to see his father will teach him how this ain't the place to be. And I don't ever want to see you here. Some of you all are sowing the seeds of juvenile delinquency because you got a son who ain't connected with the dad, who thinking jail life is all that because you don't allow his father to teach him that it ain't. And sooner or later, he ends up in the exact same place you never wanted him to be just because you didn't think it was necessary to take him up to the jail. I'm working on a project right now, Gradford Prison, Pennsylvania, one of the largest maximum security prisons in America. Myself, state representative, and some other folk. We have a FACT program. Okay, it's a fatherhood program where we take the children up to the jail to visit the fathers if the mothers don't want to be bothered. That's what we're doing. Because fathers still need to be fathers even in jail. Do y'all follow me? So I got to call parents and convince them that your son need to see his father, that your daughter need to see her father. And some of us are so trifling that we think our children are going to develop just like we do. I hear things like, well, I grew up without my dad and I turned out all right. No, the hell you didn't, because if you did, you wouldn't be stopping your child from going to see theirs. It's amazing how we love to point out everybody else's faults but can never see our own. You know why? Because that big damn ego living inside of you that only wants to see your good that you do and never see the wrong. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't check your ego before you settle down or get married, your partner will check your ass and then move out, because ain't nobody going to live with a selfish ass ego. Get your house in order before you go ruin somebody else's. See, you got to recognize that we got spiritual vampires in the black community. What is a spiritual vampire? What is a vampire? It's a beast, but you can't tell in the daytime. What Brother Jabari say, some of y'all gonna go clubbing tonight, right? There's gonna be some vampires in there. He gonna be dressed up, ladies. He gonna be sharp, cologne and everything. And fellas, she gonna be sharp. She gonna have the cuts, the build, the abs and everything. You're like, damn, right? They look like people, don't they? You think they human until you let them spend one night over your house. And then all of a sudden they transform and the teeth start growing and the ears get pointy. And you know what they do? They intoxicate your world with all their emotional baggage. You're like, damn, when I met them, they were so nice. We only 2 weeks into this damn thing and I'm ready to give up because you dating a spiritual vampire. Spiritual vampires love happy people because they think that if they suck enough of your energy, it'll make them happy. Because they fail to realize that the only people who control the way we feel is ourselves. But some of us get in relationships because we think we can make somebody else responsible for doing something we couldn't do for ourselves. Statistics are not kept on black fathers who want to be involved in their children's lives, but gets disrupted by the mother or the grandmother or the whole damn family. I had to go with one father. We went over there to talk to the mother to have a sit down. Everybody was there. Cousins, grandpa with a cane. I said, damn, y'all want to fight the man just because he want to see his seed? So I had to diffuse the situation. I called some of my homies, though, straight up. I said, look, I don't know if I can work my way out of this one. This the address, be outside. If I text you, come in, whether the door locked or not. You think my psychology always going to work? Hell no. Some brothers are straight fired. I don't want to hear that. You got 3 master's degrees. You ain't my master. Damn. A doctor who? I ain't never seen you on Oprah. In America, mothers are more likely to prevent interaction between father and child for personal reasons rather than factors relevant to child development. This ain't just black women either. Ladies, the child came through you, but it don't belong to you. Not from an African frame of reference. Study your culture. If you want to go back to Egypt, at least study how the families were viewed, okay? The child comes through you, but it belongs to the community. You have to get rid of this consciousness that says, that's my child. I carried her. I carried him. They look just like me, not you. It don't matter if you spit them out. That's still their daddy. It takes 2 to make that child, not 1. And guess what? If you try to do it by yourself, you're going to make a mistake because God did not design humanity to be raised in a house of one parent. See, you need 50% feminine energy and you need 50% masculine energy. That's the balance. All of us are half male, half female, but one dominates or should. Okay? Stop laughing. So if your daughter don't get validated by her father, she'll spend the rest of her life looking for validation. Now you teach her how to be a lady, but he must validate her womanhood. Don't you ever forget that. If your son is always up under your skirt and never get that masculine structure, he might start wanting to wear one. And if the biological father's not around, uncle, grandpa, brother in the community, make sure you see their child abuse record. Make sure you go on Megan's Law, because we got pedophiles in our community. That's right. But the thing about pedophilia that's so sad, which is related to this, because when fathers are not there, the risk of all that go up. See, when a man know that another man ain't having it with his, I don't care how pathological he is. He might have every label in this mother, but if he know you ain't having it, he will fix himself. That's right. Oh, I'm usually sick, but not with this child. I'm healthy as a mother. That's right. And that's why we got to be involved in our children. So same thing with the mothers if you're non-custodial, and mothers don't feel bad if you're non-custodial. A lot of sisters, because it's normally the mother with the child, begin to suffer from a depression and an insecurity, a self-abjugation because the father won the custody. He wasn't wrong for winning it, but you're not wrong for losing it either. Stop thinking less of yourself because you are not the primary breadwinner. You think about all the things you can do with that child when you're with them, and then you also plan for their future, whether it's going to be a college savings plan, whether they're going to have a trust fund, and also, if you got a trust fund for your children, get with your lawyer and make sure can't nobody unlock the damn thing except the child. Because some of y'all trifling. And I've seen parents empty out their children's trust fund on themselves. So get that thing locked so nobody can touch it but the child. Okay? The facts, black fathers are less likely to disclose the pain surrounding their absence from their children's lives, which can lead to misperceptions about their commitment. I deal with this all the time. The black man's hard exterior, we don't like to let people know we hurt. I can't see my children, but I can't let nobody else know that. So to the world, it looks like what? He don't care. But when Dr. Umar gets him in the office and we start talking, he got to muster all the spiritual energy in his body not to let that tear flow. Because it hurts us. And we got to talk about it. And fellas, we got to do what? We got to start developing some support groups for black men, where we come together and talk about what it is to be a black man. I didn't say your Moorish philosophy. I didn't say my Pan-Africanism. I didn't say your Hebrewism, your Quran, or your Bible. I didn't say whether you're Democrat or Republican or no party. We ain't going to talk about that. We're going to talk about nothing else than what life is like on a day-to-day basis. Are y'all following me? Yeah. And sisters, y'all got to do the same thing. Y'all need sister circles. Y'all can rotate houses. It's going to be at my house tonight. Next Friday, it's going to be at her house. The third Friday, and we're going to come together. Make sure you have somebody frisk them down for weapons. Because some of us crazy. Right? And y'all want to talk about not religion and how you need Christ and you need to take your Shahada or you need to read Mr. Garvey's philosophy. We ain't going to talk about that. You need to go natural. We ain't going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it is and what we go through as a black woman. And do y'all have some advice for me? Because I'm trying to let my son be in his father's life, but he keeps disrespecting me. Well, do anybody in here? Well, my husband went to school with your baby dad. So maybe I can have him talk to him on a man-to-man, and maybe the four of us can come together and sit there. Well, I don't think you know. They were pretty cool. And the next thing you know, you can work the situation out because we use group power. We got to go back to group power. Right? I'm getting sick and tired of this African individualism. That ain't us. That's white folks. Intentional disruptions that prevent fathers from having regular contact with their children has been cited as a major contributor to domestic violence. Now, fellas, it's a damn thing for a woman to keep you from your children. But you do not have a right to put your hands on her ever for any reason. You got to walk away. There's no excuse for that. Okay? I know you want to shake her to death. But you can't. Because you'll get a restraining order. And if she goes to court with that restraining order, you can forget all visitations because she's going to make you look like something you ain't in front of that white man. And you'll never be around your child again. You have to think militaristically. I know it ain't fair, but it's the way it is. Ladies, same thing with y'all. Because y'all can be domestic abusers too, right? Y'all like to cut, stab, threaten, sabotage, bust car windows out. See, brothers, you can be a victim of domestic violence and don't even know it. Did you know that there's a national center for men who suffer from domestic violence? Because we too cool to admit it. You scared to go to sleep at night because she done said a few too many threats? That's right. And they laughing because they guilty as hell. Black mothers are more likely to deny fathers access to their children, which has led to more black men seeking marriage outside their race. Now, I know our sisters got some issues. So do us, though. So if they can stick to us, the least we can do is stick to them. Okay? I'm getting sick and tired of all this interracial stuff. I don't hate white people, but because I love my own sisters, every time I see a brother with a Caucasian, there's one less husband for us. Oh, y'all following me? So it ain't about hating that woman, okay? I don't know what she can cook, but it ain't about hating. I'm not eating that. Mayonnaise on a sandwich this damn thick? The hell is that in there? Teeth? What the hell was? There was a Supreme Court case, 1967, Loving versus Virginia, one state down from you guys. A white man by the name of Loving sued up to the Supreme Court for the right to marry a black woman. Let me say that again. A white man sued Virginia to marry a black woman. After 1967, United States Supreme Court said there can be no more anti-miscegenation laws in this country. People can freely marry whoever the hell they want, right? Since that law, that was 67. That's not even 50 years ago. Since that law, 1 year before they killed Dr. King, 2 years after they killed Malcolm, since that law, black men have married out of their race. More than the men of every other race put together have married outside of this. And you want me to believe it's based purely on love, then why the hell you the only one catching jungle fever? And if you think that it's all about love, then I challenge anybody in here to show me a rich white woman married to a broke-ass black man. I ain't seen one yet. Neither have you. In every arrangement, the white woman gains and the black man loses. Well, actually, he gains too because he gains honorary status in the white race. No, I didn't say go out here and start picking with brothers who got white wives. I know men who are married to white women. We still got to keep it respectful. But when it's time for the political discussion, I let him have it. Outside of that, I speak to his wife, speak to his kids, we keep on going. But I give him that look too, like this some effed up stuff right here. Okay? And she not even cute. Now, one thing about the statistics that you got to be careful of is most of the statistics only keep a record of black men who who cohabitate or are married to the mothers. If you are a father who don't live in the house with the children, a lot of statistical analyses will write you off as not being involved because you're not in the house. So we have to make sure we account for all the black men who don't live with their children, but are so involved that you wouldn't know it. Are y'all following me? These are the ones when they tell the teacher, well, I actually live in a different home. They're like, teacher, I never knew that. You see, that's the mark of the good father. When people don't know, you don't even live there because they always see in your face. Now, fathers, make sure that the custodial parent, the mom, the grandma, doesn't turn you into a police officer only for your children. Some of us are destroying the relationships with our children because we allow the custodial parent to only call on us for police reasons. Are y'all following me? He's hanging with gangs. He's sneaking girls in the house. He's not going to school. Teachers are, If you don't have a relationship with your son, you don't have grounds to discipline. Discipline must be done with love or it's not discipline. It's abuse. And that goes for the ladies too. If you are non-custodial and that parent says, look, you need to come and get him because you're the mom and she's a girl, or you're the dad and he's a boy, you have to politely tell them, I need to get to that point. Me and my son just hooked back up. I cannot risk destroying this relationship so you can have law and order in your house. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but if you never kept me out in the first place, we wouldn't be going through this. So I don't like what he's doing to you. Even if I do, I'm not going to tell her. I don't like what he's doing to you. But I got to build the relationship first. The worst thing I could do as a therapist is come in and go right to a child's problem. You never do that. Well, I saw him, playing with his ding ding at night. I sit down with her son. I'm not going to talk about that. That boy don't know me. Hey, why you playing with your meat, son? Your mama said you was flocking a flogger. What's going on? I can't do that. I gotta, how you like school? Do you got a relationship with your dad? What's your after school program? Who your favorite basketball player? And then the parents is coming in and saying, excuse me, sir, we paying you, right? For the past 4 meetings, you've done nothing but talk about what my son liked to do. And then I got to explain to the parent that therapy or building a relationship with your child who you ain't seen in a while is like unpeeling an onion. You got to take it layer by layer. You don't go straight in or you'll mess the whole damn onion up, okay? I got to peel. And when I think he's comfortable enough with me, then I slowly start touching the reason you asked me to meet with him in the first place. That's the same thing you do as a non-custodial parent. Remember, a good parent is a what? Benevolent dictator. A good parent is a benevolent dictator. What is a benevolent dictator? Someone who controls the outcome. But to the people they controlling, they not even aware of it. It's like the United States government and black people. Okay? Okay? So when you're dealing with your children, you got to be the same way. Your son say, Dad, I want to go over here and play basketball for high school, but that school got the worst murder rate in the neighborhood, but they are #1 in the country, right? So you like, I need him over here. I got to find a way to kind of make him want to go there without me telling him he's going to go there. So I might take him to an open house. I might take him to a couple games. I might set it up for some of the players to come holler at my son. That's what a benevolent dictator does. You are a strategist. I don't want my daughter hanging with them girls no more. But I can't come out and tell her that. I got to find a way to make her like this group. You must become a benevolent dictator. Never steal from your children the ability to make decisions for themselves, because if you do, when they become adults, they'll be so anxious about making decisions that they'll never be able to. These are the people who smoke cigarettes all the time, alcohol all the time, to drown out their worry because they grew up in homes where the father ruled with an iron fist, the mother ruled with an iron fist. All you're doing is messing those children up. It's like a girl who's 15 and naturally she's liking boys and you telling her, I better not see you looking at them, touching them, talking to them, boom, boom. Then she's like, damn, what, you want to be gay? What's going on in this house? Okay? You can keep her from having sex, but you want to introduce her slowly to masculine energy so she'll know how to deal with it up in college when your ass ain't around no more. And she become the biggest buck wow at Morgan. Talking about my baby got Jesus in her life. Yeah, and a few other people. Children of remarried black mothers are less likely to have contact with their biological fathers. Now, there's multiple reasons for all of this. But ladies and gentlemen, because I want to keep it, it can be either or, but it's normally the fellas, but it can be ladies too. Listen, I don't care how good your wife is, your new wife. She loves your daughter. She's genuine. She treats her like a queen, right? You say, well, her mother is a loser. She's on weed, and I don't like the guy she's dating, and she never done nothing with her life. So I want my daughter to forget about her real mother and just latch on to the stepmom. It don't work that way. Mothers, it's the same thing. Well, his father's a deadbeat, in and out of jail. He ain't nothing but a thug and a gangster. My husband is a lawyer. He has his own business. He gives my son allowance. He takes him out. He really loves my son because he never had one. That's good. That's real cute. But guess what? Children want their own. And you got to make sure that your significant other don't take it as rejection. He ain't rejecting you. But it is natural for a child to want to know their own roots, not false ones. Are y'all following me? Sooner or later, they're going to ask for their own. And if you don't let them, they'll seek them out. You know how many calls I get from non-custodial mothers and fathers that say their kids showed up on a house and they wasn't even in the phone book. They said, how did they find out where I live? Oh, a child will find their father and they will find their mother, and you better hope to hell to heaven. Dad, you ain't the reason they ain't been around. Because do you know what I'm getting a lot of calls for now? Parents who calling me because the children want to whip their behind because they told them that mommy or daddy wanted nothing to do with them, only to find out that it was a lie. And now they hate the parent who did it. Karma will come back. Mothers and fathers. So I got like 12 cases right now, 12, where girls wanting to beat the mom up, boys wanting to beat the dad up, all because of what? You told me they didn't want me, and I have found out otherwise. It comes back. Role of the court. Now, the court don't help this at all. My God, there's nothing worse than going in front of a white man and say, can I see my daughter? And one time the judge looked at me and said, wait a minute, I know your face. I said, oh, shit. He was on YouTube. You're that psychologist. Not me. I sweep streets, dog. I don't know who you talking about. Judge knew who I was, but I was able to get out of it because he would have never gave me my baby. But it hurts a father or a mother to have to go to the enemy and beg permission to see their child. You should never do, no matter how much you don't like him, no matter how much you don't like her, don't pull the white supremacy card. The white supremacy card is when you use the power of institutional racism to fight the other parent. That is almost an unforgivable sin. Never do that. Don't no white man care about the stability of no black family. And guess what? You can't really blame them, because if a mother don't care about the best interest of a daughter, why should the courts? And vice versa with the dads. You expect the white supremacy to care more about your child than their own parents? You ever go down the family court? It look like a damn slave ship, except it ain't on water, it's on land. And we just walking in there with paperwork. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Like, damn, is slavery over? Nah, dog, I'm going next. You know when it really hit me? I had to go downtown once to change some paperwork. And there was a young brother, he was about 23. He was on the ground in front of the elevator, crying. Almost made me cry. I had to hold my own tears. People said, why are you on the floor, young brother? What's wrong? He said, the judge won't let me see my children. I don't have a record or nothing. I don't know what happened in the courtroom, but all I know is that brother was on the ground crying. They had to pick him up and walk him out. And that's when I said, we got to do better. And you know what? If those of us who know people who are doing wrong by children started standing up for the children, you will see less court. See, the reason mothers got to run the court and fathers got to run the court is because the family and friends are acting like they don't see what the hell going on. See, if the grandparents were those elders we need, it couldn't happen. Because she and he going to say, sit down and sit down. If y'all can lay down and rumble, tumble, and make them, you're going to stand up and race them. That's what an elder does. But see, an old person will just look at it and keep on walking, and they feel like they can't say nothing because they the ones who taught them how to do that. Intergeneration. Y'all know this is intergenerational, right? You look at certain families, every woman kept the father out the life. Every father wanted nothing to do with his children. Now, I'm not going to say a sister is wrong for going to court to get child support if after she tried to work with you and you wouldn't work with her. Okay? Fellas, you got to take care of the children. Okay? No, she ain't got no right to charge you above your means. And ladies, y'all got to be kind of chill with this, okay? Y'all sit telling brothers you need 2 G's a week. And the brother like, damn, who are you, Beyonce? What are you going to do with 2 G's a week? We got to keep it rational. And if the father can't pay for the children, think of other ways he can take that out. Well, you're going to be the primary babysitter. You got to pick her up and drop her off at aftercare, whatever the situation is. There's other ways. We can do this, y'all, because you know what we're doing with all this drama is that we are role modeling anti-African behavior to the next generation. See, when that teenage girl gets pregnant, and we don't want her getting pregnant as a teenager, but when she does, what is the idea she's going to govern that child's life with? The ones based on our culture? The ones she saw in the hood. How is the boy going to deal with his baby mom? Based on the culture? The way he was taught in the hood. And too many of our young girls are being physically abused by teenage boyfriends. I'm taking girls to the hospital with black eyes. She ain't married, ain't got a baby. She's just a girlfriend, still living under her own roof. But yet he thinks to be a man means I got to hit on my woman. And the sad thing is what? Some women grew up in homes where the mothers always got abused, so they think that if he don't hit me, he don't love me, because love is supposed to be painful. That's right. Fellas, you ever date a woman and she tries to make you hit her, make you hit her, make you hit her. She's trying to convince her that you care. And you're saying, I don't hit women, but she wants you to strike her. Why? Because in her history, love meant pain. You see? So when I run into a violent sister, get the hell away from them. Because I'm going to tell you now, they will beat you up, stab you up, bust your windows, bleach your clothes. And the minute you grab them, whoa, 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 your ass to be up in the jail. And you looking at her like, damn, you did it to me every time and I forgave you. Sorry, boop, I don't tolerate it. Get out of it. I don't play domestic violence. So when you hear the first threat, I'm taking you right back home. Whoop, this date canceled. Get out. In many states, child custody cases have been separated from support, which have had devastating consequences against enforcing custody agreements. This is something we need to fight to change. I don't know if it's like this in Maryland, but in the northern states like PA, Jersey, New York, they separated custody from support, which means what? That if she ain't letting you see your child, they're not going to threaten her with withholding the money. Now, don't get me wrong. They need that money to take care of our babies, right? But if they were threatened with possibly losing it for interrupting the visitation, you would see your children more. But what the courts did was they cut it, put it in two, and say money ain't got nothing to do with time spent with the child. So now she get the money and you don't see your child. That is oppression and it is unfair. And we got to organize ourselves to change that, because that don't make no sense. And who do we go to change that? Custody laws are based on the state. Where's your state rep at? Where's your state senator? Those are the people we need to call in. As many mothers can now receive support without guarantee and visitation, many fathers have been reduced to a source of income only. Black women are more likely to seek restraining orders against their children's fathers than other women. What is it, sisters? Are we more violent, or y'all just more strategic? Well, that's what the black women more likely to get. Fellas, very important, and ladies too. If you're non-custodial, try not to go to the home or visitation, pick up, drop off. If the situation ain't cool, don't go there by yourself. You need a witness. If they show up with everybody and they was in the wrong and you was in the right and you ain't got no witness, you in trouble. Always have, I don't care if they standing at the corner of the block, make sure somebody can see what goes down in case criminal charges are brought against you for some nonsense. That can mess up your whole life. You get a criminal record, you in trouble. You can't get no job even if you've never been to the pen. Very important. Black women are more like, well, we went over that. Effects of fatherlessness on children. Fatherless children are more likely to be absent from their own children's lives. This is why we got to make sure our children got their fathers and mothers, not just for us, so they know how to do with their own children. You keeping your daughter away from her mother is training her to do the same thing with her son and the baby's daddy. This goes on perpetually. Fatherless children are more likely to join gangs and lead delinquent lives. A gang is a what, y'all? Surrogate family. Children want structure. You think they want to do whatever the hell they want? No, they want to be told what to do sometimes. And if you don't give them structure, they'll go find it in a gang. A gang ain't nothing but a replacement family because you ain't got one. Fatherless children are more likely to suffer emotional and mental illness. Children without fathers are more likely to experiment with homosexuality and lesbianism. Effects of fatherlessness on our daughters. Obviously, teenage pregnancy, right? Teenage pregnancy ain't got nothing to do with sex. It's emotional attachment issues. That's right. That's right. And why is teenage pregnancy so bad? First of all, if a black woman has a baby before she graduates high school, there's a 75% chance she'll be spending the rest of her life in poverty. That's number one. Okay? 95% chance that she won't graduate on time. And a 99% chance that she'll never earn her master's degree, assuming that's what she wanted to work up to. Also, the problem with teenage pregnancy is it does what? Blurs the line between who's a child and who's not. Once a girl gives birth to a baby, once a boy can say, I got a seed, now they think that they are on your level. And that's why we got this problem out here where young people thinking they old enough to talk to you any way they want. You know why? Because I gave birth. And since I gave birth, it ain't nothing you can tell me no more. Teenage pregnancy has destroyed the natural age hierarchy in the Black community. And the only way we're going to get it back is to cut down on this teenage pregnancy. So you know what I do when I go into the schools? Got you. You know what I do when I go into the schools and talk about sexually transmitted diseases, and I put the pictures up. When I'm done, they don't want sex no more. Homo, hetero, nothing. I put a picture of gonorrhea up there. I say that's breakfast. Syphilis, that's lunch. Herpes, that's dinner. AIDS, that's, oh, they be turning in. Oh my God, turn it off, Mr. John. Oh no, you're gonna open your eyes. You got to make them feel that. You see? And they come back. Mr. Johnson, I was cool all summer, dog. Every time I wanted a cookie, I saw a herpes. Damn! Yeah. They got a group in Maryland, group of children who want to play grown. Your teenagers, they out there dating, and bring them here and give them to me, and let me bring my overhead and let me show them some pictures. Okay? We are in all that. They'd be wanting to give up on that. Okay, low self-esteem for the girls, poor self-image, sexual promiscuity, and the hopeless romantic syndrome. Fellas, some of y'all might have dated a hopeless romantic. Okay, ladies, you can also have a hopeless romantic. You do know that. Men can be hopeless romantic too. Okay, brother drop you off for a date, and before you even get home, he texting you how much he's going to marry you and love you, and can't wait to see you again, and was wondering if he could come pick you up and y'all could go to the 1 a.m. movie. Damn! Okay, right? I saw you in my dream last night. My ancestor, my spirit guy said I was going to marry a woman with 7 letters in the first name, and you got 7. That's right. That's a hopeless romantic trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, trying to force love when it ain't there. Fatherlessness, motherlessness, and let me be clear. Fatherlessness and motherlessness have the same detrimental effect on the children. The reason why we're talking about fatherlessness more so isn't because motherlessness is any less. It's just that fatherlessness is more of a problem because of the war on Black men. And I want us to be clear, because people will get the impression you never talk about motherlessness, so are mothers irrelevant? Of course not. It's just that in our community, the mothers tend to end up with the children. So you're more so dealing with fatherlessness. Effects of fatherlessness on boys: school dropout and truancy. Number 1, how the hell am I supposed to learn how to read when I don't even get to see my father? And you got them going to special education. For what? Well, the teacher said he got a comprehension problem. Comprehension requires focus. He can't. All he think about is when he's going to see his father. This ain't got nothing to do with learning. It's attachment issues. ADHD. What does a child do when they go to school if they don't get enough lap time at home from their parents? They act up to get the attention of the adult involved. That wasn't ADHD when we were growing up, but it is now, because the drug companies found out that they can get rich on fathers not being in the home. See, what they did was they got rid of the doctor and got rid of the daddy and put in the doctor. They got rid of Pop and take you to the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist is the new father in the Black community. I call it daddy in a bottle. Domestic violence and bullying. A lot of boys who got the thug energy, anger. Thug energy is normally anger and pain. That's all it is. Masculine, masquerading as some sort of hyper masculinity. I know, because I do therapy with them thugs. And once they see I ain't scared of them, then we can have a conversation. And fellas, I want to be clear now. When we go back to take over the community, because we're going to have to do it, gentlemen, you can't expect the cops to fix this because they started it. But I want to be clear. And know some of us love our children, but some of our children are so far gone that we're going to have to put some of them to sleep in order to take back the neighborhood. Some of y'all don't want to hear that because you don't live in reality. But I'm telling you, as a psychologist, I'm not going to be able to psychologize all of them on the corner. Some of them going to sleep for good. What's another side effect? Special ed, psychiatric medicine, conduct disorder, ODD. We didn't run all that nonsense. And of course, what? Suicidality. Do you know when a boy don't have his father, the risk of him thinking about, planning, or attempting suicide goes up tremendously. Let me ask you a question. The percentage of black boys who have attempted, considered, or planned suicide has increased 800% since 1980. What began in 1980? The mass incarceration of black fathers. The suicide rate of black boys is directly related to the pain of not having their own daddy in their life. They write me the letters, y'all. Mr. Johnson, I hate back to school night. Me and my mom go, and I'm glad she with me. My boys, my homies, they got their dad with them. I be wanting to cry. I can't say nothing to my mom because she gonna think I don't value her being here. So they hold it in, y'all. Hold it in. And then when somebody do something to them that they consider to be disrespectful, boom. And people are like, why did you break his nose for stepping on your sneaker? He didn't mean it. It wasn't really over the sneaker. It's over the fact that I want my father and ain't got him. In fact, some studies are showing what? That the boy is more affected by the father not being home than the daughter. Now look at that for a thing. Because we do know divorce. Who gets affected more by divorce? Men. Emotionally, fellas, we are worse off after a divorce than a woman. See, the balance is what? The feminine are stronger spiritually. The masculine are stronger physically. Y'all see that? That's the great balance of the universe. A man get a divorce, it'll mess up your health and everything else. Especially if you know how to cook. Damn, you ain't getting that food. Now, if she has you on TV, Dennis, you sign that. No fault divorce, son. That was nothing but McDonald's any damn way. Okay? Children from married men. Now, this is a big problem as we wrap it up. This is a really big problem. Okay? Fellas, one of the biggest side effects of adultery is those children. Now, listen, ain't no woman out there going to stay on the side forever. She only lies to you so she can get her foot in your life. Because remember, sisters compete with each other. I don't know where they get it from, but there's a competition going on. They keep like a tally sheet somewhere, okay? And when she get tired of being second to your wife, she's going to come forward and expose you to everybody. And the best way to expose you is to pop that seed on out. That's how they got Dr. J, Bill Cosby, and all the rest of them. They had women on the side who agreed to stay on the side. You crazy. Ain't no woman standing on the side, especially if she cute. She coming out in the sun. So guess what? You out there dealing with some woman, you end up getting her pregnant because you can't control your energy. And guess what? The child suffers more than you. That's right. Children of fathers who committed adultery, which means that they're quote unquote illegitimate, which is European, not us, more likely to suffer emotional problems because not only do they not have their father, they can't even tell people who he is. I deal with it every day. Brother and sister right next to each other in the same class. This one by that mom, that one by that mom, but they're not allowed to say it because she's illegitimate. So the children are forced to live with that secret. How dare you put a child through that? You know what I tell the child? Tell him who your father is. I don't care if he like it or not. Get a t-shirt with his name on it. He's going to make you live with that sin that he committed. Depression, anxiety, obesity, health disorders. Let's talk about obesity. A lot of our children who suffer from obesity are not in love with food. They are in love with peace of mind. And because they can't get it, they eat and drink themselves. Because why? Eating and drinking are pleasurable. They're the two biggest drugs in the community, and they both legal. And some of your children learn how to do what? Intoxicate with food and soda pop because they watch you do it. You have to watch yourself. That's where obesity comes from. That's why I want to have a conversation with Michelle Obama so we could talk about her obesity plan because she ain't got nothing in there dealing with the mental health triggers for obesity. You ain't dealing with these girls being sexually abused, and that's why they're eating up all the ice cream because they got problems and ain't nobody to talk to, so the food becomes a friend. Feelings of rejection, insecurity, and abandonment. And what else is bad for children who come from fathers who committed adultery? Separation from their biological siblings. That's her brother, that's her brother, that's her auntie, but she can't say it because she's what? Illegitimate according to white people. And so her mother and her father make her feel ashamed or him for being here. Reasons mothers give for absenteeism. If he can't have me, he don't want to be bothered with the kids. Sometimes that's true. Most of the time, if you can't have him, you don't want him to be bothered with the kids. If he don't pay his child support, mothers, if you got to take him, and I hate you taking brothers to child support when you know they ain't got means. In fact, I'm going to say it. You should not be taking a man to child support if you know he's doing the best he can to find a job. He got a felony on his record, can't do no better. How dare you? Because if he don't make his payments, you know what they're going to do? They're going to lock him up. And then when he come out, he not only owe what he owed when he went in, but the money that he should have paid while he was locked up, that gets added on top of it. What kind of a damn country is this? The children don't like him or know him. Of course not, because you kept him away. And the only way they're going to get to know their daddy is if you give them some time. Listen to me clearly, y'all. Mothers and fathers, children are children, right? That means you make decisions about what's in their best interest. A 10-year-old boy does not decide if he wants to see his father. He's going to see him every time the father's scheduled to see him. Now, when he's out of this house and he decides he want to make his own decisions, that's up to him. But as long as he's under your roof, you're going to do what's in the best interest of that child. Stop letting 8, 9, and 10-year-old kids decide if they want to see the non-custodial parent. Of course, they're not going to be comfortable visiting with a stranger, but the only way you're going to get over that stranger complex is to spend more time with them. I don't want to go see my daddy today because they really want to hang out with their friends. And so now they're running the game on you. You don't decide if you want to see your pop or your mom. That ain't up to you. I have to do what's convenient for my schedule. That's called selfish as hell syndrome. Well, I said he can come get him for the 3 hours after church. Well, you know, the 3 hours after church, okay, he volunteers at the homeless shelter. You can't take that from him. He does that. He asked you for Saturday. Why can't he have Saturday? Well, he can't have every Saturday. I can understand. Why don't y'all split him? Well, I can only give him one. Okay, well, then you're going to have to give him some weekend evenings. But I'm going to tell you what you better not be doing. Keeping the father away from his children because your new partner feel insecure about who the father is. His mate mistreats my children. Then whip her ass, but don't keep the kid. I'm playing. So y'all laughing because that's what y'all would have done. Don't do that. You ask him, I would like to have a conversation with you and your wife or your living girlfriend respectfully, or can I talk to her like a lady, or can I talk to him like a man? Because my son is saying he's not really feeling his energy. All he says is negative things to my boy, nothing good. I'm also hearing that the other children y'all got together in that house, they get all the love. And my son is being treated like he don't even belong there. So I need to talk to him. Well, you don't need to talk to my man, you can talk to me. Excuse me. You did say he's your man, right? Does that mean he's a man? So if he's a man and I'm a man, he should not object to meeting with me. And if he's scared to meet with the father of your children, then you don't need to be with him anyway, because that ain't no damn real black man right there. That's right. And that goes for you too, brothers. You dealing with a woman, she got children. I don't care how many strikes he got on his record. You go out there and you greet the man and say, look, these are your children. I'm not trying to be their father, but I'm going to be a father figure when they in his home. But I want you to know that I respect you as their father. And if you ever have an issue, you can come and talk to me. Get the women out the damn middle and stop acting like them. We got to start being men. We can cut this out. Because I'm going to tell you right now, well, we got about 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you right now, if a parent don't want you to meet their children's other parent, I think it's cookies still in the oven. Or y'all following me? You know what a cookie is. Let me give you, they come in butter pecan, butter almond, fudge, butterscotch, soft bake, hard bake. Oh, you know cookies. Okay? He only wants to be with his kids to try to get back with me. Ladies, fellas, this might be legitimate. Most of the time I find it's not. It's wishful thinking on your part. But even if it's legitimate, if you're not going to let him or her back in your life, what difference does it make? Let them see their kids. The reason why you don't want them to be with the kids for this reason is because you still got feelings. And if you keep on hanging around, you might start latching on again. So it really ain't about him wanting you. It's about you not being done with him. Y'all see that reaction formation, how we project on the other parent, what's really going on in us, male and female. Mistakes fathers make. Don't get emotional. This is warfare. You got to think, not feel. Second, egotism and lack of humility. Sometimes you got to bite your tongue. That's right. If you got to let her lie so you can get your child, let her lie. Ladies, same thing. If you got to let them lie so you can spend time with your children, let them lie. Don't fight every battle. Keep focused on the war, spending time with your baby. Third, blending personal relationship issues with the custody. It's amazing how many times I'm having a session with two parents about the child and they revert back to their relationship. What are we doing here? So it tells me that this ain't even about the child. This is about y'all. And the fact that he's married to your best friend from high school now. Okay? I know that was messed up. Damn! But she ain't the child. Okay? Whip her ass! I'm kidding. Don't do that. We need peace in the hood. Trying to control the situation, fellas. One thing we gotta accept when they push the white supremacy button and go downtown, you have no power. Not politically. You still do spiritually and psychologically. Accept it. That I gotta work within the system. You cannot go in there, gangbuster the joint, show up in court with a red, black, and green flag, and say, I'm starting a revolution now. Your ass will be downtown in handcuffs. If you don't believe me, try it. Also, fellas, we always want to do what? Take the law into our own hands. I'm going to fix my problem by myself. I don't need no help. You know somebody, you got an old head who know the mom or the grandma, call on him. That's right. You know a brother in one of the conscious organizations, that's her cousin? Brother, I need to talk to you, man. Call on them. See, our ego don't let us ask other people for help. That's the ego. We don't want to let people know we're hurting and we ain't got no options. But do you love your child or do you love your self-image? Which one is more important? Irrational beliefs of mothers. These are more my children than his. I birthed them. Not true. They couldn't have got here without you or with him. Need both. What's best for me is best for my children. No, it's not. Because you got on a weave and I don't want my daughter with one. I grew up without a father and I turned out all right. That's your problem. You think you're normal and you're not. He's too strict and firm with my children. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you firm with the children? Because remember, they need masculine, structure, discipline, accountability, response, and feminine, love, nurturance, compassion. If all you giving them is love and they ain't getting no firmness in their life, they're going to grow up to be delinquent. You need that balance. His parents treat his other children better than mine. Listen, you cannot blame him for what his parents are doing. I know we got a lot of light-skinned supremacy in the Black community. I've seen grandparents ignore the dark-skinned grandkids and go straight to the yellow. I've seen black skin supremacy where they ignore the yellow and go straight to the Zulu. Now, if you need to ask him to talk to his parents, you should do it. If you want to talk to the parents, you should do it. But don't keep him or her from their children because of what the parents are doing. Last 2 slides. Children of incarcerated fathers, very vulnerable population, y'all, very vulnerable. 9 times more likely to go to jail. If your son father in jail, you better be working like hell to get him a mentor. I don't want to use that word because mentor comes from the Greek. That's a homosexual term. A mentor was the white man who took the boy by the hand and broke him in anally. Jegna. You know that's the definition of mentor, right? Yeah, that's where the word comes from. So Eddie Long was a mentor. Children of incarcerated parents suffer greater loss of contact, inconsistent visitation, school adjustment issues. Children of fathers who have died, and I'm gonna end on this one. Children of fathers who have died, that's a whole nother ball game. He didn't walk out, you didn't push him out, he passed. God forbid, if it's untimely. They suffer from abandonment issues. And guess what else we find? Sometimes when the father or mother die on the child, they have an anger complex at the deceased parent. Why did you leave me? How the hell are you going to get shot like this knowing I still need you? Just get them counseling. You don't let a child lose a parent and act like they're supposed to get over it. It will affect school, dating, drug addiction, alcoholism. Most of our kids are self-medicating through marijuana. You do know that, right? Okay? Uncertainty about who they're going to look to for that male guidance, and grief and bereavement issues. The religious community is guilty because they're biased against fathers of different political and religious affiliation. I heard a pastor say, if he don't come to my church, I'm not going to help him out. Only concerned with fathers who belong to their congregation, afraid to lose female support if they speak out. Oh my goodness, I know she's keeping him from his father, but she one of my best workers in my church, so I'm just gonna have to sweep that under the rug. In conclusion, grandparents give silent support for the behavior of their children, failure to refuse babysitting services when you know there's a father who can babysit. That's all you got to do. If you have somebody with a child and they denying the mother or father and they want you to babysit, excuse me, call his daddy, call his mother. That's how you put up with it. Stop babysitting so easy. That's how you'll force that whole situation. Failure to consider the needs of children over selfishness of their children. I got to identify with my son, even though he's wrong, he my baby. We got to get over that filth. False propaganda. Children don't need fathers. Mothers have been the primary caregivers in the Black community for so long. We don't need to change it. Many children don't feel like being bothered anyway. That's a lie. I got grown women and grown men, 40 and 50 years old, still looking for their biological. Who the hell is you to say he's 12 and the father ain't been there and he don't want to be bothered no more? In conclusion, my ancestor Fred Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain, but they can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want ocean water, but can't stand the awful roar of the waves. He said the struggle we have, Black people, might be moral, or it might be physical, or it might be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. He said the limits of tyrants are prescribed by the people who they oppress. You decide how far your oppressor goes with you. He said, for 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom, but God didn't give me freedom until I got up off my knees and started praying with my feet. He said, but most importantly, you remember this: power concedes nothing without a demand. Never did, and it never will. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Thank you.